getting help. Okay, so not the kind of help that you're probably thinking of. What I'm talking about is help to grow your business, right? Because we are all about growing profitable and successful businesses. And there is a method to the madness in being able to do that. But what does that look like for you? So let's talk a little bit more about that because we have businesses that are all in all different stages of growth and development and even intention, right? Because you could have a business and it's just you and you're good with that. If you're the solopreneur, you are the single owner LLC and you're fine with that. That's the way that you want this to continue. Or you might have a business where you're the business owner, you might have a couple of employees or contractors, but your desire is to be able to take a vacation and have your business run or sell your business or pass it down to your children. It could be far and few and in between that putting it together of what your business actually looks like. So let's talk about what that means in terms of getting help. So when you are building a business, whether you're a solopreneur or you're a business owner with employees, you come to a point of your business growth where you have to have help. And what I mean by that is that it doesn't necessarily have to be employees. It can also be contractors that you are adding to your team of individuals to help you grow. And most often people do, they want to add in help. They usually do end up hiring some kind of a contractor. And the reason for that is because the costs are a little bit lower in some regards to hiring a contractor versus hiring an employee. Now, the line between what makes a contractor versus what makes an employee is pretty thin and is dependent on which state you are in. Each state has its own regulations of what qualifies an employee versus a contractor. So you need to make sure you look at it. But regardless of the fact is that you at some point probably will need help growing your business. And so one really quick example of how we're going to kind of break down this is something I'm going to show you real quick. Let me bring that up. This is my handy dandy Word document. So we need to think about this strategically, right? If we're getting to a point where you are spending too much time on little things. So let's say you're needing to post on Facebook, put together your numbers, come up with marketing, develop content, answer phones, and invoices, et cetera, right? So you are spending time doing all these kind of smaller tasks. And the best way to figure this out is to write down what you do every day, right? If you're trying to figure out whether or not it's time for you to hire some help, write down a list of everything that you do every single day for like a week and look at what that list consists of. And you might have some of these smaller things that are on your list that you're spending time doing. They're important, but your time is also important. Your time is valuable. Well, if you're spending a lot of time doing that, then it may be time to hire a contractor. You can hire a contractor for accounting, marketing, social media, copy. Now, copy is something that we call the words that are used in our advertisement, or blogs or articles. That's copy. Like somebody writes it for you, and then you post it like it's as if it's your own words. And that is something that you can pay for with a contractor. You can also hire an administrative assistant, virtual assistant, and the list kind of goes on from there. But then you may also want to hire an employee to do the similar things. And so when we're kind of figuring out whether or not to hire somebody, there's a couple of things that we need to look at. We need to look at what the costs are associated with it, especially first. So look at the cost associated. Consider training time, um, hardware or software you have to provide, expertise, overhead. Is this something that you're going to have a person in office to do? And then, the hourly rate, of course, would be a factor as well. And so, what we're really trying to do when we build teams and we try and figure out what's best and what's not best is we want to think about what our time is valued at. Like, what your time is valued at. So, if we're thinking about that piece of it, think about what you're charging your customers, right? How much is your time worth? And how much do you want your time to be worth? As you grow your business and you become more developed in it, you will start to see and understand what your business looks like and what value you provide, how much your time is worth. And typically, what people often talk about when it comes to that, we think about our time as owners. It's coming from like a consulting standpoint. So think of it, you're a consultant, you have all this expertise and training that you are. So when your time is spent, is it better spent in your business, on your business, or a little bit of a mix in between? And if that's the case where you're kind of finding the mix in between, which is most of the time what people end up coming up with, they have to, determine, oh man, I didn't have the screen shared. Oh, technology. Okay. So here's my little thing. Okay. Post on Facebook, pull together your numbers, come with marketing, this, and then so we're thinking about what our time is worth, right? So our time is worth the number that we put on it. But as you grow that time, that number should grow in value, which is oftentimes why you see business owners, they grow their business, and then they become a consultant, or consultants typically have had businesses that they've owned in the past. And the reason for that is because the more expertise, the longer you've been doing it, the more you grow, the more you can advise and consult with other people. So that number, that consulting number that you put on yourself, is kind of like your hourly rate. So if you are thinking about, okay, where's my time better spent? Is it better spent on posting on Facebook, or can you hire somebody to do that? And if my hourly rate is $50 an hour, I can hire somebody to do that for $15 an hour. Where do you think your time is better spent? So figuring out what that value that you drive to your business and what the number on that value is super important, because then it can determine what your steps are, subsequent steps are after that. So sit down and spend some time working on your business by figuring these things out. Make a list of all the tasks that you do and you spend your time on. Make a breakdown of what your costs, what your sales and your costs are for those kind of things, and then start to figure out who you need to add to your team, because delegating is a huge part of growing a business. Whether you stay a solopreneur or you become a multi-million, 500 employee plus business. And trust me, they're out there. And as a matter of fact, I've met many people in the past 6 years in Wisconsin that's literally started out of their garage, and they built these huge businesses that have, gone on to create tons and tons of jobs and revenue and just like all kinds of things that you wouldn't even believe. Like, I'm sometimes in shock, because like it doesn't seem possible to grow to that kind of an extent, but it is. It is possible. And this is one of the things that has to happen in order for you got to figure out what your team looks like and how much of an effort and your team is going to put into your business, and where your value is as a business owner, where you can better spend your time. And so in order to do that, you have to get help. You got to delegate, and you got to figure out how to do that. And so figuring out those pieces. And now this is not a set in stone thing either. Like many things in business aren't. You have to continually go back and revisit and review and adjust, as your business grows and fluctuates. But this is one of the steps that you can do. And you can put together as simple of a list as this one right here. It's an if, then, so. If this is going on, then what do I need to do? So how do I do it? And that's how you have to kind of break down the pieces of your business. Even after early stages, have a plan. When you're figuring out where you're going to have to add your team, start thinking about how you can put everything in a system so somebody else can follow it, even down to the most minuscule thing that you do, because the more you can create systems in your business, the better you can delegate, and ultimately, the better you can grow your business. So hopefully this was helpful. We talked about getting clear and digging deep and getting help. And I will see you again tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.